another pot boilers on the cards in the IPL. Gone way overtime in Bangalore with the RCB RR game. So let's start building up to the next one. It's Kolkata Knight Riders taking on Chennai Super Kings, which is our focus on Visit Saudi presents ESPNcricinfo T20 Timeout. Let me say it's our starting focus on T20 Timeout. We will be getting to the Royal Derby once that game is done in Bangalore. Continue to be joined by Tom Moody in our studio and Wasim Jaffer. Good evening, gents. We've got a bit of a cracker already in Bangalore. What are we expecting from KKR CSK, Tom?
Well, it's an interesting one. KKR have been sort of had a scattergun approach, haven't they, this season? They've won 2 matches, and both those matches are down to 2 individual, outstanding performances. What they've also done is they've had many changes of their personnel in their playing 11 so far this season, and also many changes with their batting order. So what's going to be interesting is, 1, how many changes they've made, and 2, are they going to settle at some stage on some sort of formula that they feel is right? And they're playing a team that has the complete opposite approach. CSK are a team that always provides stability, always has a constant with their strategy and a theme to how they play. So you've got the polar opposites meeting at one point in Kolkata.
Yes, and before we get those news and all those changes that you've already alluded to, let me get a word in from Wasim. Wasim, clash of cultures and contrasting approaches, as Tom points out. What do you reckon this evening game has in store for us?
Well, I think obviously CSK start favorites. There's no doubt about it. But at least KKR will feel they've got what they wanted. Win the toss and probably chase down a score again. They would have wanted to chase, but CSK, will say that the strength is in their batting. So they come out really hard. They look to post 200 plus every game, and this is a good wicket. The average score is more than 200 here. So you can expect CSK to come hard, but at least KKR will feel that they can chase it here. They'll be hoping. Tom has rightly said that they've changed too much. They haven't found the right combination. The players they've shown faith haven't stuck form. And when you're losing, you kind of still looking for that best combination which can give you results. So they're still searching for that. But they'll be hoping that whatever CSK post, KKR will be looking to chase that down. But it's going to be hard work. CSK is in form. Their batting is absolutely brilliant, and it's going to be a tough task for KKR.
So right time to inform everyone that KKR, surprise, have made some changes again. There are 2. Jagadisan comes back in. David Weezer gets a first game for KKR. They replaced Liton Das, who got his first KKR outing in the last game. So Jagadisan expected to take the wicket-keeping duties. And Mandeep Singh also goes out, who had started that last game they played in Delhi. So Jason Roy and Jagadisan at the top when they do come out to bat, Tom. That makes it 5 opening pairs in what is their 7th game this year.
Yeah, that's a bit of what I was alluding to in this build-up of this match, is that there's been so many moving chairs, and that creates instability around role clarity of what you're trying to achieve. Jason Roy gets a second game, which is good. He sort of looked like he started to show some form, and he's a damaging player if he gets going. He'll enjoy a good surface, there's no doubt, up in Kolkata. He had a challenging surface in his first game in Delhi, but I think the David Weezer selection is a good selection. He's a very experienced campaigner. He's been in terrific form for a couple of years now in franchise cricket around the world. He's at the twilight of his career, but he brings a lot of maturity and stability to that side. His bowling will be much needed because he's got some good defensive skills on what is a good batting surface, but he's also going to add a bit of depth to their batting and power hitting.
Yes, Wasim, both those changes. Let's touch up on Jagadisan first, who has got 3 games, barring one knock where he made 36 of 21, hasn't really caught the eye. Has that been somewhat surprising given the kind of rich white ball form he'd carried in from the domestic season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he went, for some money, which was expected because the kind of form that he was in domestic cricket. But IPL is a different kettle of fish altogether. So he's found it tough, but at least they've given him some games, and that's where the problem lies for KKR. I feel they've given Gurbaz a little bit of run. He got a 50 and then had a couple of rough games. And after that, Liton Das just played one game and they, you know, uh, dropped him again and then brought Jagdishan in after a couple of games. So, I would have actually liked Liton Das to, play here because this is a good pitch. And, he's in a very good form as well. But they haven't showed faith in him. So it'll be interesting, just because, Andre Russell is such kind of a player that they can't drop him, makes them, and Sunil Narayan as well. So those two players become such an important player, which ones to pick and which ones to leave out. So it'll be interesting to see, whether this kind of combination works for them.
Yes, and David Visa's entry adds another country to the list of countries who have been represented at the IPL, because this is David Visa, who now plays for Namibia. So he will be the first Namibian to feature in the IPL. He had, of course, featured for RCB all those years ago, but that was back when he was still playing for South Africa. Let's take you through the Chennai lineup now. As has always already and often been referenced, they don't believe in making too many changes. And Tom, that same solid, stable 11 finds its way again in Kolkata.
Yeah, no surprise there. Obviously they would prefer to be chasing, particularly given the form that their top order shows. But they've also shown that, they have adaptability and versatility with that side. I'm sure, Gaikwad and Conway are both going to look forward to building on what has been a superb partnership, opening partnership on a good surface up there.
Wasim, Devon Conway has been, like Tom mentions, Conway and Gaikwad both among the runs, but Conway more so in the last few games, and also one of the more excellent top order batters against spin, which should come in handy against this, what tends to be a spin heavy KKR lineup.
Without a doubt, he's a quality player, and he's among the runs. One of the big scoring guys, probably featured in top 5 in the run scoring chart at the moment. And when he gets going, he gets those 70s, 80s. So he's not somebody who's going to leave it at 40s or 50s. So he's very experienced guy, somebody who plays spin well, and they would want somebody, with KKR offering a couple of spinners. He's the guy. Obviously, most of the guys play spin well, but Devin Conway, especially if they throw spin in the power play. But this is a good pitch, so the threat won't be much. And on top of that, KKR's bowling problems. Up front, Umesh Yadav hasn't been in the same form as last year. So the other guys, Lockie Ferguson, Shardul Thakur doesn't bowl much in the power play. So they have their own problems. But this batting lineup is threatening, especially at this ground. Expect some big scores.
Yes, it has been a pretty interesting mix. If you look at the KKR bowling combination, carried almost entirely by their spinners in whatever has been good for them. Worth pointing out that Shardul Thakur continues to miss out. He is nursing an injury. Remains to be seen when he'll be back. Tom, you look at those numbers and automatically they cry out, what's going on?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Well, they do rely heavily on spin. And to be fair, when you've got 2 quality spinners, you're going to be leaning on them, aren't you? But that's an incredible difference, isn't it? And that's where the likes of either Ferguson or Southey, who are the, I suppose, overseas hired pace bowlers, need to step up and at least support that. But Umesh has had a disappointing year, and I've said all along it surprises me that they don't open the bowling with Sunil Narayan. I know he bowls either 4th or 5th over or possibly 6th over, but I would be changing it up completely and using him right up front.
Wasim, share the same sentiment? Use Sunil Narayan right at the top?
It's worth trying. When something is not working, don't forget last time the IPL was played mostly in Mumbai. It has red soil pitches, offering a little bit of bounce and some movement, which is not happening for Umesh Yadav now. It's worth trying. I mean, even for that matter, Sunil Narayan hasn't been in great form. You know what we know of Sunil Narayan, he's barring one or two games, he's not the same old Sunil Narayan. So, even from his standards, he hasn't delivered yet. But it's worth trying in the power play if they get into that middle order of CSK. Then anything can happen. But yeah, I mean, like they have tried so many, uh, personnel at the top of the order in the batting, it's worth trying something new, even in the bowling department. It might work.
Just looking ahead to the CSK bowling front, which will obviously come in the second half of this game, we talk about the importance of spin, how Kolkata rely on spin at Eden Gardens. One of the big relieving factors for CSK, Tom, so far has been the return of Ravindra Jadeja and how effective he has been in the middle overs.
Yeah, well, firstly, he's getting the bowling. At the beginning of the tournament, they were playing Mitchell Santner, and he was getting the priority with the left arm spin. But they've changed their balance with Patarana available, and to plug that death over bowling, which was clearly a bit of a hole in their bowling attack. But Jadeja, there's no surprise, that this guy's class. He's a wonderful all-rounder. He's such a cagey bowler as well, and he just understands how the pattern of the game can flow, and he reads the game really well. So to me, he's one bowler I really enjoy watching bowl in any format of the game, but we're obviously in the middle of an IPL, so it's great watching him navigate his 24 balls, and he seems to do it very, very well whenever he's called upon.
Good signs for India too, you'd reckon, Wasim, that Ravindra Jadeja is continuing to find his groove back as a white ball bowler. There's been no doubting his batting contributions in white ball cricket, but the bowling ever so often comes up to questioning.
Yeah, without a doubt. Since he's made his comeback from the injury, he's been in brilliant form. And now that he's getting to bowl at Chennai, which spins, which helps him a little bit, he'll be feeling very happy. And he's bowling brilliantly. I mean, all those experience is coming in handy. But I feel that CSK relies so much on spin. Even if they are 50-60, the other teams are 50-60 for no loss or whatever. Even the other teams have won the power play. They really put a squeeze on after that 7 to 15 period, with their spin. And how quickly Ravindra Jadeja or Theeksana or Moeen Ali or for that matter, even Mitchell Santner when he plays, the kind of squeeze they put on the other team, that brings them into the game because they haven't got the same kind of pace bowling attack which they had before. But they come into the game in that period, and Ravindra Jadeja plays such an important role. He finishes his over within 1.5 minute or something like that. So he doesn't let anybody settle down. He's at you very quickly, bowls at really good pace and spins it as well if there's a little bit of help. So he's a very vital cog in that CSK bowling attack, and it's nice to see him, doing so well.
I want to get a quick word from you before we wind this part of the conversation down around Matisha Patirana. You worked with him at Desert Vipers in the ILT20. What have you made of these early action that you've seen of him? Because they've been some tough overs he's had to deliver.
Yeah, he's been thrown huge responsibility at such a young age, but there's great upside, isn't there? He looks a really exciting prospect, very different, a bit like Malinga with that slinging action. Bowls good pace, gets the ball, gets the pace well above 140, and he's throwing those difficult overs. You don't see him bowling in the first 10, rarely. He's normally bowling very much at the back end of the innings, and he's still mastering his craft. He's still very young, and he's, I think, 20 years old. So, the consistency of hitting those Yorkers will only get better and better over time. But what he does do, which is impressive for a young man, is he seems to be able to take on that pressure quite comfortably and welcome it, which is a real positive sign for someone that has to bowl those difficult overs.
Yes, good signs, good tidings so far for Matisha Patirana, but we are now going to shift our attention to the first game of the day, which just as the clock struck 7:30, did finally come to an end. Royal Challengers Bangalore eventually prevailing by 7 runs against Rajasthan Royals, defending 189, making it 3 successive day games that they have won. 3-day games for RCB so far. All 3 have seen them bat first. All 3 have seen them defend totals which have been sub 190. Wasim, let me get initial reactions from you on what will be a big 2 points for Bangalore against a Rajasthan side that has looked so formidable so far.
Yeah, they'll be very thrilled. We all said that, Rajasthan Royals should be able to chase that. At one stage, look like they'll get way past 200, 200 or 210. But Rajasthan Royals would be disappointed. There's no doubt about it. A couple of guys did get, close to 50. Padikkal actually got 50. They'll be ruining that, not one of them get 70 or 80. If one of them had done that, I think they would have probably chased this down. And we've known Rajasthan Royals. They do well batting first. Sometimes they even won a few games chasing as well. But then again, it puts a lot of pressure on Josh Butler or Sanju Samson when they don't come good. They look a little bit vulnerable, and even for that matter, Shimron Hetmyer when they're chasing big score, if he doesn't come good, this team look like, you can beat them if they're chasing a big score.
Yes, we'll come to the Rajasthan batting in detail in just a bit. But Tom, it did look like Rajasthan were in control of the chase through a definitive period in it. But you have to look at the overall bowling effort from RCB and just commend a good all-round discipline effort.
Yeah, everyone came to the party, but most importantly, Harshal Patel came to the party. He's had a relatively quiet IPL to date, and picking up 3 wickets for 32 in his 4 overs is a significant performance under pressure like that. I thought Hasaranga also bowled well and bowled at a critical time where he only went for 32 runs in his 4 overs. Didn't pick a wicket up, but what he did do is he held the game in control when Rajasthan could have easily sort of built on strong partnerships, and Wasim was quite right. Really, it required someone to go on and get a significant score to chase that down, and they had a couple of guys getting starts and failing to do so.
Look around that scorecard, Wasim, and from the 4 key bowlers that RCB have, everyone did a job, as Tom mentions. Harshal finishes 3 for 32. Hasaranga, none for 32. Quite commendable at the Chinnaswamy for any spinner. David Willey, 1 for 26, coming back into the side. And while Siraj's figures say 39, that one was Josh Butler right at the top.
Yeah, I mean, they had a perfect start, isn't it? Josh Butler, getting rid of Josh Butler in this kind of chase. Siraj again providing them with the breakthrough. And I think they probably would have felt that they needed to go hard a little bit at David Willey. I think he bowled really well his couple of overs, and then again coming back and then picking Devdutt Padikkal's wicket. But I think, all the other bowlers contributed as well. Harshal Patel, like we said, he needed to come good. And I think, it was his contribution today. And even Hasaranga bowling his spell and bowling, 30 runs, 30 odd runs in on this ground, you take it anyway. I thought they squeezed in that, middle period when Jaiswal and Padikkal were going. They squeezed them a little bit in those 2-3 overs where they, didn't give a lot of runs and picked those couple of wickets as well, which were set batsmen. And then after that, I thought, everybody else contributed. So very good batting, bowling effort, I thought, from RCB, and they've been doing that, like you said. 3 wins, defending scores, especially on this ground, is a huge effort.
The game that can be marked almost both innings by 2 direct hits. There was one which we spoke of in the first innings, which felt so vital when Jaiswal got Faf du Plessis out. Over here, you had Shimron Hetmyer, the assigned finisher, who's been doing it regularly, and Suyash Prabhu gets that.
Yeah, superb bit of fielding. Only had the 1 stump to hit. But Hetmyer, it was interesting. He didn't really catch fire tonight. He faced 9 deliveries for just the 3 runs, which is very unlike him. Normally, he does take a few balls to get going, but he goes, over a run of ball when he's doing that. So he sort of got stuck a little bit himself, which led to the pressure of that run out. He's hit it straight to the fielder, but he was well short. He was miles out.
And you saw an amount of electricity in the field in general, Wasim, because there was Dinesh Karthik who saved a couple of what could have been 5 wides. There was this direct hit towards the end, lots of saves on the boundary. In general, a good fielding effort. Not too often we get to say that just the fielding can be a defining factor.
Well, you got to look at who was captaining the side, isn't it, Yash? It's Virat Kohli. That intensity rubs on to the other guys. How intense he is when he's captaining and when he's on the field. It rubs on to the other players. There's no scope for any error, and he leads by example. For RCB will be feeling good that he's captained a couple of times and they've won once against us. But I think it's because of Virat's intensity. It rubs on to the other guys, and when you're defending scores like that, which we felt was under par, you need fielding effort like that to win your game. Those small moments, those kind of direct hits or fielding saves that actually boost the bowlers and brings you into the game. And RCB did that today.
Ever so gracious, Wasim Jaffer. Thank you for those thoughts. 2-2 for this new captain for RCB. Tends to work.
Yeah. Oh, look, I don't think it's not all about the captain. It's about the team. The team pulling together. There's some great individual performances there. Their bowling did well tonight. We've been critical of their bowling when it comes to defending totals, but they managed to get their defence sorted. So things are starting to fall in place for RCB. And their captain for the season is by far the leader in the run scoring of the Orange Cap at the moment, and he's running hot at the moment.
And just how this season is playing out, just that one win, and it's now, for the moment at least, a 6-way tie at the top of the table. RCB 2 have reached 8 points. Before we wind down, just want to get comments on those 2 innings that you guys already mentioned. Devdutt Padikkal, Yashasvi Jaiswal, both of them in the initial bit of that partnership were keeping up the pace. They finished with 52-34 and 47-37 for Jaiswal. How do you assess those knocks and the point where they got dismissed? What's your overall assessment?
Oh, I thought they were 2 very good innings, but one of those 2 had to go on and get a 70 plus, and that would have made the difference with regards to breaking the back of that run chase. It was an important partnership, particularly when such a big figure like Josh Buttler is dismissed in that very first over. But they showed great maturity and they took the game on, but one of them needed to go on and get a 70 plus score, and if that was the case, I think they would have chased down the total.
Wasim, promising knocks both, but for 2 young players, could they potentially look at it as a chance missed to have played a defining knock and just take your team over the line?
Without a doubt, they lack that experience, which Josh Butler or maybe Sanju Samson have, or even Shimran Hetmyer. But they'll be happy, at least for Devdutt Padikkal. He's got runs. I think it's the best spot for him to bat at number 3. But he needs to get, once he gets those 40s or 50s, he needs to convert that into 70s or 80s. If one of them have done that, I thought, there were a couple of soft dismissal, especially for Yashasvi. I felt, the kind of form that he was in. I thought he was the guy who needed to take it right till the end, and obviously the other batters need to bat around him. But they'll be feeling that it was a missed opportunity. They should have chased this down. And like I said, one of them has to bat, till the end to win them. And one more thing, I mean, we did talk about, Shimran Hetmyer. They kind of, delayed his time coming into the crease in the first few games. And sometime, I think today he came at about 11 or 12th over, if I'm right. And I feel it's far too early for him. Probably, him, Dhruv Jorel probably would have come early, and they've delayed Shimran Hetmyer till about 14 or 15 overs. I think gives him a clear idea of what he wants to do, and he's come good when he's batted after 14 or 15 overs. It's just a thought. Sometimes when he gets too many overs, he doesn't look the same player to me.
Your take on that?
I'd probably differ to that, with Hetmeyer.
Yep.
In that I just think that at times he's been left too late in certain times this season, where I think he's a good enough player to have more of a significant impact, and we know what type of strike rate that he can reach. Tonight he didn't get it right, but again, it's a good bit of fielding, but he did get stuck at the start of his innings.
Right, so that does it from game 1 of the doubleheader Sunday. Game 2 is well into it already, so let me quickly get predictions before we take a pause for now. Tom, you first.
Chennai batting first. They're going to get well over 200, so I'm going to say 209.
209, says Tom. Wasim?
I'm going to go a little higher again. I'm going to go to 218.
Ooh, 218. Both these gentlemen have taken stock of the fact that the average first innings total at Eden Gardens so far has been 216. Let's see which of them is closer. Let's see whether CSK get to that 200 mark as they take on KKR at Eden Gardens. We'll be back with you at halftime. Be sure to join us on Visit Saudi presents ESPNcricinfo T20 Timeout. Wasim?